technologies. Thank you. I would also like to add that we had gone as a observer to the Montreal for the XCOM meeting, and still there is a lot of differentiation being done between the developed and developing countries. For example, when Indian delegation wanted or insisted that as far as phase out of HFC is concerned now, after signing the Kigali agreement, it has become a global issue. So it should be taken up on a global basis. The certain developed countries, we are not anxious or we are not ready to share the data of the production and consumption of the HFCs, but they wanted from developing countries that data to be given based on the allocation of funds. I think we have to rise to the occasion and see it as a global issue now, because it's a global treaty which has been signed and which has been considered as one of the most successful treaty. And that is why the Kyoto, instead of Kyoto Protocol, Montreal Protocol was adopted as a route to resolve this problem. Thank you.
So thank you, Mr. Meter, for this presentation. We are really heading towards the end of our conference, but we would not like to let you go home without the chance to have a brief period of discussion here. And I would like to suggest that we, what we actually prepared here is, what you can see is that we have a selection of distinguished experts from today's discussion, and we also would like to learn, at least as far as this is possible right now in a few minutes, your take on this discussion. So if there are any remaining questions from your side, also some statements that you have, of course, with recognition of the time, and or you would like to address one or the other panelists here, I would like to encourage you to raise your hand. And we will then, after this, I have one final question for all the panelists, which also will be helpful in order to do somehow the summary of this day, or at least some initial conclusions. That is a more pragmatic view. But first of all, please feel invited, warmly invited, to come in with any questions you have, any reflections on what you also learned during the last presentations here on the panel.
Hello. Okay, so my observation is the following. I've noticed we've got great products. We're working towards energy efficiency, but there seems to be a kind of disconnect. I mean, we have manufacturers working closer, getting 5-star ratings, but then eventually it goes down to how it's implemented. People buy the products. There could be a lack of knowledge on how to implement it. There could also be a lack of service, as was pointed out by Mr. Didi in his presentation. Now, can there be, for instance, like the Bureau of Energy Efficiency, they have a 5-star rating, and that's mostly about the product. But what if you have 1 star to tie in service as well as consultancy by the manufacturer, so that what we are trying to achieve actually gets achieved? Because you might buy a product, you might not implement it properly, you might not have the right environment in which you're putting it in, we're not getting the end result. People may not be even maintaining it after a few years. And that's not what we want. Now, to get the full impact of it, there should be some tie-in to how it's actually implemented. What do you think about this?
Is there anybody on the panel who would like to respond?
I think most of the manufacturers of air conditioners in India have got, during the warranty, they provide the service through their approved franchisees. And after the warranty period is over, they request the customer to enter into a comprehensive contract. It all depends upon the customer's choice. Some of the customers do not opt for the comprehensive warranty contract which the manufacturers are offering. After the warranty is over, they, for the sake of a few hundred rupees this side or that side, say gas charging, if the local person who is repairing the air conditioner in the same street or in the same colony charges 700 rupees and the company charges 1200 rupees or something like that, they compromise on that and then the efficiency goes down. There are no two opinions. So it's a choice to the customer, and I think all educated customers these days take a comprehensive contract after the warranty and they don't suffer.
Can I just?
Chandra, please.
Yeah. I think the fact is that there's a lot of formalization required in air conditioning sector. It's very informal right now, the way the ACs are installed, and industry will bear me out that number of times air conditioners are not properly installed. Also, our climatic conditions seems, especially in Delhi now that we are doing some research, leakages rates are very high, maybe because of air pollution issues or something that needs to be investigated a little more. But just to say that under a Skill India program, there is a discussion happening on a formal certification system for service industry in air conditioning. And I think Ozone Office is also thinking about funding some of these programs where the technician of air conditioner will have to have a certificate, a proper certificate under Skill India before they will be allowed to do servicing and other things. And I think industry will be also asked to come and join this program in the near future, which is likely to improve the situation significantly.
I think that's the way forward.
Yep.
This is the difference we're trying to create, because if you don't do that, then there's not going to be a change.
Please use the microphone. Yeah.
Hello, I'm A.C. Verma. I have a point here that energy efficiency is not a challenge of machines only. It is a challenge to organizations' management. So why not include something like energy ISO 50001 or energy management system in the organizations in some formal way, as you mandate it or you incentivize it, so that it becomes a formal system in the organizations, right from the top management to the bottom. Because what we have experienced, that in large organizations, it is very easy to say that you have got the fund in government organizations, you can go and investing the money, but as far as the optimum result is concerned, we are far, far below the optimum level. And that's what the lacuna is, because there is no management system. So energy management has to be developed in the organizations if you want to achieve in this thing in the sustained way in the long term. That is my suggestion. They may be considered. Thank you.
So thank you very much for this statement as well. I think my feeling is a little bit also from both questions that we need to take a strong focus on the implementation process right now. I think that was also pretty much what was at the core of the final presentations up here on the panel, and also it's at the very heart of the Paris Agreement process right now. And the EU-India partnership on clean energy and climate is also pretty much focusing on this kind of implementation process. So what I would like to ask my panelists up here is to help me with a kind of priority list. I would like to know from you especially against the backdrop, of course, of today's discussion, but I think also more in general for those not being able to stay all the day. What can be priorities, next steps of the partnership? And I would like to ask Dian to start here on my right, and then we go to the left end of the table, and you can have in mind one priority that is fine, but if you have a few ones, that is also appreciated. So.
Thank you, Dennis. That's a very nice and broad question, bringing us all back to a very strategic level again. I mean, I think we've heard a lot today about, certainly I've learned a lot today about technical possibilities, growth rates, some challenges as well. And I think that the main challenge is how are we going to achieve large enough transformation, large-scale implementation, specifically for green cooling, but also in a broader context, climate-friendly technologies. And I was positive about the many aspects about integrated approach that I've heard today, whether it's related to buildings or education or the policy context. And I think there's a lot happening here in India, also what we heard about what the Bureau of Energy Efficiency is doing, also on the policy context, for instance. Thinking of the broader picture of the partnership, I think especially the aspect of the enabling conditions that we've mentioned a few times today, what can be done in terms of helping industry to tip the balance in a policy context or incentive context, educational context, stakeholder consultation, etc., to really get this transformation of the ground. And in this perspective, also very much like your idea that you mentioned with the stars and the whole concept of moving from product to service, basically, also for this application. So I think this part of the enabling conditions is something where the cooperation between the EU and India could focus on, and I think also something that was touched on earlier, this complementarity between call it Kigali and Paris. So where can they strengthen each other? How can we avoid duplication? I think there is enough need for support, that there's room for both instruments to play a role. But I think that's also something where the international context is important, so which could play a role in this partnership.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dian. There are already, I think, important points, and I would like to ask Professor Agrawal to add on this.
Thanks. Actually, this conference on green cooling and the post-Kigali amendments. Of course, the post-Kigali agreement, the agreement is quite clear. That is joining, the ODS phase out and the climate. That means again HFC phase down and the energy efficiency. So these two aspects, and now we had to deliberate on those two aspects, how to achieve the phase down sustainably, what is the sustainable phase down, and then also how to improve the energy efficiency. Both these aspects as such are there in EU as well as, in the interest of the country, India. And if I say, EU is very strong in terms of refrigeration, and while the air conditioning may not be as strong as, is maybe required, because actually there are climatic conditions, so there are more work, towards the refrigeration, and where actually the green cooling in terms of